stupidity in the CS community. It's an epidemic now. And I want to basically start my stream with a segment entitled The People versus Mauisnake. Now, for those who don't know who Mauisnake is, Mauisnake's a colleague. He's an analyst, but he's been more than that. He's risen through the ranks. He started out as a player in North America. I think he was living in Hawaii, I think, at one point. So it was pretty hard to do because their internet infrastructure sucks ass. But he got to a decent standard, and then he went on to become a coach, and then he went on to become, I believe, a commentator, and then an analyst, and obviously he's now in the rotation for all the big events and working majors. And what's really interesting is that I want to use what's happening to Maui to basically just illustrate this will happen all of the time. It ties into a thing I recorded for the Esports Gospel, where I'm talking about words that have no meaning within esports, and one of them is community. There isn't a community. There's just a procession. Like, you don't belong to anything. Nobody cares about you. No one's going to contextualize your story. You're not in a community when you come to an esports group. You're just surrounded by a bunch of people that maybe like the same things you do. But that's as far as it goes, and no one's going to look out for each other. No one's going to do anything positive. We can barely get it together for charity drives these days. One of the things I used to like about esports back in the day, we generally looked after our own. You know, we even across games we could come together, but not so much these days, I've noticed, which is just, you know, typical, of course. But anyway, let's get into the people versus Mauisnake. Now, I just want to remind everybody that people did like Mauisnake at once upon a time. I want to show you an example of Mauisnake content and why people used to like it. Everybody loves Mahone. Oh, he's the best analyst, actually. Yeah. You know, and I've said this many times. I've got nothing against the guy. I just hate the community double standard that he's done nothing of note, yet he gets to be the best analyst because he gets to stand in front of a screen and do things most analysts would kill to do. And if you remember when Sponge did segments like that, he was the best analyst. And when Yanko did segments like that, he was the best analyst plus resident sleeper. Even though I think everyone realizes now, well, there was a brief period, wasn't there, where he was the fun. Oh, wow, Yanko's actually legit funny, and now he's just an asshole. Him and Casada just assholes. Maui's an asshole. Weird, isn't it, how it's always the analysts that get it? Almost as if, you know, it was really about you and your inability to accept people expressing confident opinions. But anyway, anybody can do that, and Maui has done that and done it well. And he used to have a video series very much in the same vein as what Launders used to do, which was the same thing. You'd break down a player demo and you talk about it intelligently. And I've got one such example here. So
Surf's up, guys. It's
here it is.
Here.
Surf's up, he says. Obviously, it's Mauisnake. This is from just a year ago, back when he was liked. He was liked a year ago. And this is analyzing Device's Flawless Mirage versus Liquid. You can see it's a demo review where he talks about why he might make certain choices. I'll just play it from a random point.
One. I don't actually have the greatest view model for it, but Top Con Smoke. And then what's great about this round from Device is that they actually send the bomb towards Palace with Linus, and Device is responsible for holding ramp. Or he's basically responsible for being this lone ramp player. And it's so scary to be this guy, because if you go too quickly, you will cost your team the round. Sometimes. If he gives up his AK for free, they recover it, and the CTs have control of ramp. What they can usually set up in is a CT and ramp kind of hold, which just pinches every single angle you would want to plant is exposed to these spots, basically.
That was who Mauisnake was. He was the Mr. Analyst guy. Everybody liked him. And funnily enough, that type of content, that used to go on to Reddit, and if it made it to the front page, very often it was actually put there by Thorin. If you remember, Thorin was the guy over at Flashpoint that really gave Maui the big leap up from being like a content creator and an ESEA guy to being a bit more mainstream. Maui's content never used to generate a lot of comments, except, oh, we like it, we love more. You can see here, these are the type of comments he gets on YouTube. Only 15 comments, you know, only 2,000 views for for a device demo analysis? Because the dirty secret of the CS community is you all pretend you value analysis, but you're absolute plebs, don't understand it yourself because you're all gold Nova scrubs. And in actual fact, this content is very niche and will never find a major audience. It's all posing and posturing, I know. In fact, I can give you an example because I lurk on the main CSGO subreddit Discord. I'm there all the time. I barely talk to anyone. I get pinged occasionally, but I might throw in points of information if somebody's talking about a thing that happened with a team or a player, but generally I'm there to correct lies, and that's what I do. Someone will come in, tell a lie, and I'll just sit there, and I've sat there ever since. A guy basically said Richard Lewis should be shot, or Richard Lewis is trying to get shot because of his opinions, and one of the Discord moderators said, yeah, it's amazing he hasn't been, and was sort of like engaged with the nominal notion that I should be murdered for expressing opinions about a fucking competitive video game. So I've just sat there ever since because, you know, if crazy whack jobs are going to come in and talk shit about me, I'm just going to sit there and go, yeah, actually, don't do that. And people go, that's a waste of your time. You shouldn't bother. The wolf doesn't care about the opinions of the sheep. Yeah, I get it. But at the end of the day, nah, fuck it. One of the things I've realized is ignoring that stuff will never, ever help you. You must get in there. You've got to get in the mix and be willing to fight for your reputation, unfortunately. That's the modern landscape within which we live. So, anyway, there was a guy on this Discord the other day, right, who literally came in. They joined the Discord channel for the day. It's a channel called Esports. It's only got about 20 regulars. The sub's got something like 40,000 people on it, and there's only 20 people that regularly discuss esports, and most of them are idiots. At least 50% are actual clinical level morons. And anyway, one of those morons came in and said, "Casters are nice, but analysts are bruh." I think it was the exact quote. He then went on to elaborate his point about why analysts are bruh by saying that they don't actually know anything. The analysts in CSGO don't know what they're talking about. None of them do. Anyway, it went on, as it does in that channel, where people just posting tweets and saying, have you seen this roster move? Have you seen this? Here's a meme. Here's Pack Watch. Here's Rip Bozo. And it just goes like that, you know, common W, common L, you know, or just garbage, just brain dead entities reduced to being able to communicate in like 4 terms, like literally below an AI. And anyway, he then got to talking about Alexi B and why he thought Alexi B wasn't a good IGL. So I was like, okay, well, let's see what he's got here. And his analyst for why Alexi B has failed as an IGL, in this person's opinion, this person who said analysts don't know what they're talking about, was Alexi B has failed because he isn't a hyper, that was his word, like Cadian or Carrigan. And then somebody said, what do you mean? And he said, look at him on player cam. He always be tilting or looking sad. He's not a hyper. So that was his high-level analysis of Alexi B's career. These are the types of pleb you will deal with when you're an analyst. And I've said, the crux is, this is how you know, like, the overwhelming majority of CS fans are actually, like, just morons. There's nothing worth salvaging in the scene anymore. Right. You, a Gold Nova scrub who has never worked in the industry, never been a coach, never been a pro player, claims that you are in possession of the knowledge to know whether or not an analyst who has played at a high level, been a coach, you know, worked in the business, watches every single game, and probably has a higher badge than you, you're somehow in a position to judge them and whether they know about the game. And if you believe that, then you are deranged. That is the word for it. It is a derangement. You are in the grips of what I colloquially call foaming dog fever. You are mad. You are simply mad. It doesn't make any sense. It wouldn't hold up to any scrutiny. It'd be like me watching a documentary about, like, doctors, and the doctor makes a mistake in the surgery and me going, yeah, well, obviously I would. If it was me, I wouldn't have done that. Or it's like Mark Wahlberg saying, you know, if he was on the plane on September 11th, the tragedy wouldn't have happened and he would have landed the plane safely. You know, you have to be a fucking idiot, in other words, to say these things. So anyway, right, you can see the type of comment Maui used to get. Awesome analysis. Super interested in the machine learning discussion as it's applied. Very nice analysis. Good shit, Maui. Would love to see Alistair get a review. Renegades good. Blah, blah. So, yeah, hope to see you on the analysis desk again. Smiley, smiley face. Everybody loved a bit of Maui. Now, where did things start going wrong? Because you're going to think it's just about this Nafani drama. You see, Mauisnake decided, and you might remember as well from a review, I want to say it was maybe after PGL Stockholm, that basically, I said Mauisnake will go on to become the next Thorin. I said it was like at the end of The Wire when they do the final montage at the end of season 5, and you can see how Duquan is going to become the next Bubbles, and Michael's going to become the next Omar, and basically the more things change, the more they stay the same. And Mauisnake is going to be the next Thorin. He is going to be the heel because he's the person who doesn't have any issue essentially expressing controversial opinions, saying it like it is, and not sparing the feelings of players, So I did call that, and I didn't know it was going to happen quite as rapidly as it has. Let's just show you where the wheels first started to come off, and people started to basically be, oh yeah, Thorin doesn't work events anymore. We need somebody to dogpile. Here it is. You can see this was the Mauisnake questions Astralis removal of config. It just feels a little too convenient for me. This is when Astralis basically kicked config from their lineup after he got into a fight in Malta and somehow come off the worst and broke his leg just before the RMR, meaning he couldn't play. Astralis didn't qualify. They completely shook up that roster, and so players like Farlig might never get to play at a major again, all thanks to config. Maui was basically saying, cutting him entirely for what he did feels like they wanted to do it anyway. And spoiler, yeah, there were tensions behind the scenes. Config is a difficult player to work with on his best days, a difficult personality. He doesn't seem to be capable of any self-awareness whatsoever or any personal growth, considering he managed to fool the community into somehow believing he was the victim in all of this, even though he'd instigated the violence. He then was on the same street in Malta where he broke his leg last Pro League, double fisting jugs of ale. So, I don't know, guys. Maybe you got hoodwinked a little bit on that one, but whatever. So anyway, here it is. You will now see that, because Mauisnake's expressed this opinion, and the community was so in love with Saint Config, who would never do anything wrong, people were all up in Maui, how dare he say this? Is Mauisnake becoming more and more the conspiracy theorist of desk analysts? This is from Scowl Eric, a FaZe fan, a conspiracy theorist, you see, because he said, I think there's more to this than meets the eye. He's now a conspiracy theorist. Let's see. Put Mauisnake and Semler in a room together for a day, and they will have unraveled nefarious intentions in every roster move made since 2015. Don't really know what you're going for with that. His normal meter, so the meter in all of us that shows how normal we are to a pleb CS fan, his normal meter seems to be slightly off. Things that other people look at as normal and common, he thinks are strange, and vice versa. Common among conspiracy theorists, we're now getting psychological analysis from DNDENK, or Dungeons and Dragons Enk. Same thing with his argument around EG and conflict of interest. He somehow managed to talk himself into believing that two EG teams playing each other had less conflict of interest and smaller risk of match fixing than any other two random teams because reasons. That was pretty dumb of Maui, I did say so. I like him at events and like the Server Time podcast. Think it works because the other people around him are willing to disagree and debate these things, which is interesting and healthy. This is the dilemma of people who are paid to talk. The longer you speak, the greater the chance of something stupid coming out of your mouth is, said a fucking Redditor of 4 years. What too much Thorin interaction does to a motherfucker. This is a very popular opinion, as you'll see, that somehow Maui is emulating Thorin, or Thorin has he's controlling him like, I don't know, like some sort of necromancer, Mauisnake's takes have been so dog shit lately. Has it always been like this? Didn't know too much about him when he wasn't popular. So that was like 8 months ago, right? And people are basically very much down on Mauisnake. How dare he say anything about the players? And this is the recurring thing with all of this, right? How dare he speak out about the players? Like, the reverence that the average pleb fan has for players is so ridiculous that it's actually staggering to me. And so anyway, when Heroic went out of the major, everybody lost their shit about this clip.
Cadian's story is written. He is never going to be among that upper echelon. He's never going to enter the pantheon of great in-game leaders. The case is closed for me. He's not there with Zeus. He's not there with Glaive. He's not there with Kerrigan.
I think this is totally fair. This is a fair comment, right? This is basically the conclusion you would arrive at if you were a reasonable person. That Heroic have this incredible ability to basically bow out of tournaments just when you think they're at a stage where they would become the favourites. When they were the number one team in the world, they got to number one by basically getting super consistent finishes, but not winning anything. They were just like second or semi-finalists or, whatever it was. And they're capable of beating anyone except themselves. They have a huge psychological issue. And somehow in the big games, there hasn't been a way to reconcile that. And at the end of the day, as an IGL, a lot of that responsibility comes down to you. Like, I think it's super interesting because, again, pleb CS fans, plebs are gonna pleb. You cannot stop a fucking pleb from plebbing out. They just won't stop. They just exist with, like, cognitive dissonance. You see, they're so low IQ, cognitive dissonance doesn't hurt their brains. Like, so for you and I, right, you, a smart, discerning Richard Lewis content enjoyer, and me, Richard Lewis, creator of Richard Lewis content, when I have two contradictory ideas and try and make them fit, my brain hurts and tells me these two things cannot be true at the same time, Richard. You're going to have to pick one. And then I go away and I research and I wrestle with it, right? And then eventually I arrive at whichever one I think is right or truest or factual, like it could be, we all can make mistakes and not know things, right? So that's what I do. I imagine that's what you do. I imagine that's how you feel when you have those contradictory thoughts. Cognitive dissonance is that feeling. That's what it's called. These people don't even get cognitive dissonance. So think on this. It's not Cadian's fault that Heroic lose, and Cadian is a great IGL, but it is completely Hooksy's fault that G2 won those tournaments and he is a great IGL. Like, which is it? How much responsibility do we assign to the IGL? So, in other words, when a team fails, you can't just say, yeah, but he's a good IGL, though. There has to be some scrutiny. And when a team succeeds, you can't just say it's all the IGL. There has to be a baseline percentage, right? That's what the plebs are like. That's what you deal with. When it's an IGL that they like, the IGL can do no wrong. And it's super interesting, actually, because Cadian himself wasn't up until this point a popular figure, but he is a player. And therefore, even though, put it this way, 2 weeks later, the subreddit was back to calling Cadian a cheater. But for these 2 weeks, he was a good man, a kind man, and Maui murked him. He murked him at a major. And you get a thread like this. Maui, show some heart, man. This guy just lost a major. The guy can't hear a word he's fucking saying, of course. Always the same thing with Maui. So confidence in his takes, but very little background on them. Cadian isn't even 28 yet. At what age did Kerrigan finally win a major? Yes, 32. This is the top comment, right? Well, just as well he said nothing about age, you fucking pleb. He said, for him, as things stand, he will not be in the pantheon of great IGLs. He's not up there with a Kerrigan. He's not up there with a Glaive. He's not up there with Zeus. Do you see the difference? Because they've all been able to win majors. But that's fine. Also, keep in mind, that was the last CSGO major as well. That was the big narrative that they were pushing for that event because it had nothing else. And obviously, Maui was alluding to that. Right, you can see he may only be 28, but can't time travel, unless he participates in time travel land. Maui is talking about the greats for CSGO, which Cadian never is and never will be. That's downvoted, of course. JK Sex, he's made the second appearance on Richard Lewis content, a G2 fan, therefore immediately If you see the G2 flare, instantly disqualified as having anything intelligent to say. If they're a JKS fan, even less so. Now Mauisnake's story is written. He's never going to be among the upper echelon. He's never going to enter the pantheon of great analysts. Of course, he's already done that because he's worked the highest level of event that an analyst can do, and he's done it multiple times now. So, yeah, that's ridiculous. And to be fair to Maui, he does have a handicap of being a smug knob to try and overcome. Same with Maui, never going to be a top-tier Castro analyst. This is, again, another regular for stupid Reddit comments. Black Dogs 22, and obsessed with me. Easily the worst desk of any major. Forgettable. Just because Maui said this, the desk was terrible, apparently. On one hand, Cadian's been around CSGO since the beginning, not quite breaking through to top team. And now that he finally did, they came up short at the last major. So in fact, he won't be a major champion. He won't be on top of CSGO. But on the other hand, fuck off. Kicking man that really couldn't have done anything more for the win. He deserves praise for his and Heroic's performance at this major. Well, you had me in the first half, not going to lie. I thought you weren't a pleb, but then it turned out, as I said, he's just plebs are going to pleb, just going to pleb out. ESPN energy from that analyst. Maui is the guy who tried to have all the controversial takes, but doesn't have the same flair as someone like Thorin. I also find him incredibly inconsistent. Before that game, he called Cadian the best IGL right now. Wouldn't be a contradictory statement. And fight after, he went to call him a washed-up nobody. Didn't say that either, did he? You're just it's your boy Scowl Eric again, just mentally ill. You can see there's a sprinkling lower down. You know, he's right. Maui is dumb. This is another evidence. Oof, what a shit take that was. Cadian definitely belongs in that list, regardless of never winning a major. He's the only IGL that Maui mentioned that can frag as well as call. It's a huge disappointment he didn't get to win a major. He deserved one. Regardless of how true his statement is, this isn't something you say about one member of a team game like CS. So remember, it doesn't matter how true it is, you don't say it. You never say what's true because it's a team game. Targeting one player on a team of 5 after a major loss like this is in poor taste. It's literally the job he was hired to do. Point out his in-game mistakes, sure, but talking about his career like this wasn't the move. That Seabades 10, expert broadcast, producer, expert and analyst. Now, it didn't end there. The mods that day had to delete tons of threads about Mauisnake. You can see there was like some little tribute to Cadian as well. They made, because obviously we all had to suck Cadian off for 2 weeks because he looked like he was going to cry when he went out of a tournament, and he's a good sport. By the way, guys, that cognitive dissonance I'm talking about, pick one. Is he a cheating scumbag, or is he a really good sportsman? Which one is it, guys? Because you go back and forth all the time with Cadian as it suits your fucking little anime narrative in your peanut brain. Pick something. Here it is. Competitive, but almost always missing a big prize. Respect to Heroic and Cadian. There's a picture of Cadian doing the pause. Anyway, what the fuck is wrong with that desk guy to just absolutely shitting all over Heroic and Cadian 2 seconds after the game ended? He will never be on the Mount Rushmore. He's not the main character. He will never be looked at as one of the best IGLs. Did Cadian fuck his girl or what? 1,300 net upvotes. This is another thing plebs do. They assume, right, that us, the broadcast talent, we're capable of feeling hate towards players. They say it all the time. Richard, you hate Hooksy. Richard Lewis hates JKS. No, I don't. I actually like JKS. I've actually met him, Never met Hooksy because I don't think he ever played at any of the tournaments I worked at. But you remember I wrote that article defending him when that Ukrainian publication told lies about him, and I got in his DMs and asked if there was anything I could do. I also even publicly said, for all my criticism, what you did winning a tournament so soon after losing your father is absolute king shit. I don't hate people. I can't get over invested enough in this video game to do it. I've never been like that. It's never been about hate or dislike. Very often the players I criticise I've had beers with. I mean, fucking hell. Dennis used to be in this chat all the time. Think about By the Numbers and how much we used to shit on Dennis and Spiddy. And Dennis used to DM me and say, great episode of By the Numbers. No, really funny. Hate is what you do. Hate is what a pleb does. Because you're not emotionally developed enough. You haven't got the emotional and social intelligence. So you think it's about hatred, but it's not. We are just telling you this is the hard truth of a story about a player, right? I couldn't believe I was hearing that from Mauisnake. Seriously, who even hired that Gabonzo? Which that might be a borderline racist term. I don't even know. Is he implying something there? Because isn't that a type of bean? I don't know. Don't know what that's about, but mods are just going to let that stay there, I guess. Mauisnake has the wildest takes. He thought 2023 Big was going to be the absolute best in the world. Don't think he said that. Did say he thought they'd be in the top 5. You can see he replies, and he said, I said they were going to be number 5, and they reached number 7. And then somebody's replied, the jealousy is a secondary feeling, Don't even know what that's about. It's Maui, the idiot, is trying to be Thorin. Maui trying so hard to be edgy. On and on and on it goes. So this is just another huge hate thread for Mauisnake, because he said he didn't think Cadian was, in that pantheon of great IGLs, which is totally fair comment. Anyway, at this point, it is now established that Mauisnake is a figure that you can dunk on and hate, and you can get karma. And so people do it. Now, for some reason, I don't know why, but they had, at Blast, I think it was, they put Mauisnake in a tri-cast, which is weird, because he's been a caster, but he's not really known as a caster. Now, I listen to that cast. Tri-casts are very difficult things to pull off in general, especially when, you might not have done one before, because it's about space. Like good commentary with a duo, it's about space. It's about knowing when to talk, knowing when to shut up, knowing when to catch. They call it pitching and catching. If I say something and it's like a clear, you have to understand and intuit. It's a handover for you to take over, maybe so I can catch your breath, or because it's a good way to bring you in for your expertise if you're doing colour or whatever it is. You pitch and you catch. And so a tri-cast suddenly creates this extra dynamic where you might have something good to say and you want to get it in there, but you might not be able to find the space. And if you can't find the space and you talk over someone, it sounds clumsy, it sounds awkward. So generally, the third man, it's either they interrupt the flow or they don't say anything, in which case, why have them there? But tri-cast, when it's done well, is really good, like there've been many great tri-casts down the years. I remember when the Room on Fire guys, it was Anders Semler and Moses used to do tri-casts. That was a dynamic that really worked because they're all fantastic at their job and all know each other really well. And so, it's like it can work. Sometimes it can be bad. Also, they did at ESL, they did some tri-casts with some players, and that was all. It's always nice to get that player perspective and be able to bring them in, and that worked on some of the casts when they had more talkative, better players on the desk. Ironically, like Cadian, who's been broadcast talent before. So Maui probably is only doing that because he's been asked to. I don't think he's demanded to be in a tri-cast. He's not fucking D-man, is he? So he's probably just wanted to play ball, play nice. He's been asked to do something, and so he's done it to the best of his ability. But because he's now hated by Reddit, the plebs have decided he will be the replacement for Semler, the replacement for Pansy, the replacement for Thorin, all these other people they just used to mercilessly abuse and berate to the point where they just can't take any joy in their job anymore. Now that Maui's next on the chopping block for that treatment, this is what we got. Mauisnake is a caster 2 weeks ago. I'm sorry, Maui, but I really don't enjoy your casting. You know where you put this? Atarka. You know when you put this thought in your fucking diary, you teenager. No one gives a fuck. What are you making a thread about this for? I don't really like something. The internet doesn't fucking care, mate. The internet doesn't care. Like a normal person, right, when you encounter something in life that you don't like or don't enjoy, you just go, right, well, I won't do that again, or I won't expose myself to that again, and that's it. You don't have to tell people this. It can just be your life. You know, you're not fucking Moses bringing down the tablets. You're not saying anything of any value to anyone, ever. Like, get out of the habit. If you're one of the people who do this as well, like, you know, just like, oh, I've had an experience, I better get onto social media and make a thread about it. Like, don't do that, for fuck's sake. Just internalize it and then use the time you would use to say something no one gives a fuck about to fucking do something else. It's so crazy. Like, but anyway, I'm sorry, Maui. I don't enjoy your casting. I think you overuse so many phrases and words, and you are just straight up wrong with some during game analysis. We could have Moses as a caster and you at the desk where you're more tolerable. Brilliant. The moderators, when threads like this are created about talent that they themselves like, they delete these. Like, you recall when Thorin did that Frankie video, the Frankie thread got deleted and then got brought back, didn't it? Probably after one of the more senior and mature mods said, listen, what's good for the goose has to be good for the gander. Make a decision. Because I'm seeing all of these people, like, as we're about to get to, going, yeah, it's ironic that Mauisnake is talking about player mental health on Hot Take Point Made when he's so mean to players. There's nothing worse than the subreddit. I said this before. It was like when Livestream Fail came out and said that, oh, if there was only something we could do to stop streamer suicides. Now, anyway, let's get back to posting accidental nudity, talking about, you know, deep fake porn of them. Let's have a subreddit dedicated to every time they've made a mistake, where we instantly upload that mistake forever on a mirror that they have no, you know, ability to remove themselves. And then let's discuss it and let's harass them and let's only talk about the same 10 personalities over and over and over again till they go insane. Yeah, I don't know. I wonder if there was something we could do, guys. I wonder if there's something we could do. It's on me, isn't it? It's my fault. It's me, the analyst, me, the journalist, me, the person with the opinion. It's not you, the mob with the pitchforks. Oh, bloody hell. If only there was something we could do to help Dr. Frankenstein out. Well, the mob could fuck off, couldn't it? You could not burn my fucking windmill down to the ground. You thought about that? Oh, no, you're still going to burn it down. All right, then, yeah. My bad. So anyway, this thread is just pointless. There's no quality feedback in it. Not that there ever could be, because Reddit pleb opinions will never contain any quality whatsoever, because they're morons. One of the core issues is he always tries to frame things in terms of a bigger narrative. Oh, God, an analyst doing that. How dare he? He tries to sell the audience a story and connect shit together in meaningless ways. You've already said why they're not meaningless. It might come from a want to always justify himself, psychological analysis now, but in practice it often comes out as overly negative analysis on a player or team. If a player makes a bad play, he'll try connecting it to all the potential bad plays that player did without considering other factors like comms, strats, etc. You don't even know what he's doing. But anyway, congratulations, you have just described one of the roles of an analyst there. Well done. Maui doesn't have tier 1 casting skills. To me, his voice just sounds like a Reddit actually guy, and it bothers me. Personally, I would have preferred just the Scraunders dual cast, or adding in someone like Moses, or a guest caster like a former pro. Also, Launders is already analytical. I don't feel it makes sense in a trio to have 2 analytical casters, unless it's someone like an ex-pro who can provide a unique perspective. He has the tone of a stuck-up valley girl, and can't go 10 seconds without criticising someone. It is his modus operandi. He likes to take things into his own hands, and if someone doesn't take things into their own hands and apply some pressure, there's just no flair from the team, and this game is already over. I agree with the he is very actually guys kind of type, and he comes off as arrogant to me. I think it's strange that he gets to cast. As a caster, you're way too fucking articulate. Give me some unga bunga energy. He is the most annoying person to listen to. If you watch yesterday, Imperial versus Heroic, from start to first 2 rounds, you'll know how he was comparing Cadian to Fallen in the most baseless possible ways without zero logic that I could understand. His takes are too harsh that they become L takes. But guys, we all know how this works, right? Like, basically, you can have a take and it's this. Right, it's a W take. This is the W take. We're having right. So this is my good take. This is my W take. And my take. So I've got the W, right, and there it is. And I'm saying nice things, and I'm saying nice things and nice things. And yeah, actually, you know, Cadian, he's really good, and he's a good hype man, and he's a hyper. He's a wingman, and he's really good for his team, and he's such a nice guy. Remember when he hugged his mother on the broadcast seat? And so far so good. We're all W at the moment, but you know, he should probably have won more tournaments, and he's a bit of a choker, and there was that thing with Hund, and then, see, as I start doing that, look what happens. This part of the W starts losing structural integrity, doesn't it? Starts losing structural integrity, and then it just breaks away. And then we got that. Or does it have to be that way around for you? I don't even know. And then it's become an L take, you see. It's become an L take. I've gone too far there. It was a W, and then, and then it became a J take. The ultimate L take, the J take. A take so bad you need a J after hearing it. Every 10 minutes, he makes me think, like, what the fuck is he talking about? Definitely not a skill issue on your part. God, I thought I was the only one. You gotta love Redditors when they say this. It's almost like they don't read the subreddit they participate in. We've established by this point almost every thread about Mauisnake now is negative. God, I thought I was the only one. I think he's the worst caster we have. Well, he's not a fucking caster then, isn't it, you fucking pleb? Do you even watch the tournaments, you prat? You see him with the desk there, and now he's on camera. Right? He's not... Anyway, I think he's the worst caster we have, which I guess is a good thing. We're blessed with the best desk, of which he's one, and casters, but he is by far the worst. He has the worst takes, and always jumps to conclusions on top of just sounding annoying. I was so bummed to see he was casting with Anders, at least on the desk. We only have to hear him a little bit. Maui's best place is in Thorin's videos and podcasts. That way I don't have to see or hear him. W! It's a W. It's weird because that's harsh. And I thought if a harsh take, we lose the structural integrity, we get the L, but no... It's somehow a W text. I don't know. It's complicated, this L and W stuff, I guess. It is complicated, isn't it? Again, just another thread of unrelenting hate towards Mauisnake for, this time, overusing words. Let's assess the criticism. He uses too many words. He's too articulate and doesn't give out unga bunga energy. He sounds like a valley girl. And he says mean things about players. And when you put that together, well, that's like a mega W. Somebody noticed that thread go to the front page. This, by the way, is how pathetic Reddit circle jerks are. And they decided to make this thread. Opinions on Mauisnake? Can you even believe it? Opinions on Mauisnake, guys. I don't know. I've been hearing a lot about this Mauisnake all of a sudden. Like, anyone got any? Same day. Anyone got any opinions on Mauisnake? Any opinions? I'm just looking to get informed. Like, my gut impression was somewhat meh because of his takes, but I've really grown to enjoy him on the desk. So spicy. And then it got deleted. So it disappeared, only a few comments in, because probably is what even the mods probably were like, it's a bit superfluous to have 2 hate threads. This was 5 months ago, right? And he was casting again, and look at this for a piece of criticism. Why does Maui keep talking over players? And I was like, what do they mean? Was he like casting with players? And he was talking over them? If so, that would be valid criticism. That would be bad form. No, Mauisnake come in, and this is why I know what it's about. They were complaining about him commentating while the players, after they'd won a round, were getting up and shouting. This person and it was upvoted before it got deleted, said that basically he has to sit back and let the players get up, pop off before the commentator can say anything. And Maui comes in and goes, the EG Heroic game was hilarious. First time in the event we've had two teams with this much energy ready to always shout at each other. This is a fair concern and I can easily adjust to include this feedback. Great self-reflection. By the way, my comment there would have been, what the fuck are you talking about? You fucking melt. I don't need to hear Cadian go, come on, or call yourself an AWPer, or whatever shit he's shouting. Like, we can see he's doing it. It doesn't matter what sledging he's saying. It doesn't matter. I'm being paid to talk here. He's being paid to play. Maybe you should sit down and shut the fuck up. And I get to talk. How about that? How we like them apples? So anyway, fast forward to the last, I don't know, probably like 48 hours or whatever it's been now. Mauisnake did a tweet, and this is where all bad things begin. He's done a tweet. Oh no, not Twitter, the most important forum of all time, and definitely not just a glorified shitpost machine. Twitter, the window into your soul. Twitter, that little blue bird app that dictates whether or not you're a good person. Yeah, let's all get hung up on tweets. So he did a tweet. At the RMR, you will remember that Shiro, now playing for Cloud9, cried. And he had every right to cry because he played really, really well. Amazing. Was one of the best players at the event. But of course, they didn't even get to go to the major. So he said Shiro wasn't crying during the RMR because Hobbit or Buster were messing up. He was crying because the IGLing was so bad. Now, this is going to be hard to hear for a lot of people. It's very complicated. Obviously, being a media student, you know, sometimes I do use complicated terminology, jargon, to sort of explain things. So just hold on to your hats, right? This is what we call a joke. A joke is you present a statement or a situation or a story and you tell it in such a way that it is designed to make the person that hears it or reads it to make them laugh, to find it amusing on some level. When you do this, very often, jokes aren't true. You know, when you construct a joke, very often, they're fictitious, aren't they? You know, like, why did the chicken cross the road, right? That's the classic joke, right? Well, why did the chicken cross the road? Now, there's so many ways to approach it, isn't it? You know, because obviously the chicken doesn't exist to begin with. The chicken isn't real. There is no chicken. It's a fictitious chicken. But equally, if the chicken was real, we couldn't know the chicken's mind. We could never know the chicken's inner thoughts. We don't have a machine that enables us to interpret even the consciousness of another human being. We can never truly know. We can only go on what they tell us. And, you know, that's that. So the chicken in this scenario is crossing the road. Now, the absurdist approach is to get to the other side. That's what they say. And the joke is that the chicken is crossing the road for the same purpose as you or I would cross a road. That's the joke, right? There is no road, there is no chicken. I've told a joke, you see. And you go, yeah, all right, chickens. They do they even cross roads? I don't know. But if they did, they're doing it for the same reason we are. Good to know. And you get on with your day. Now, this here is similar. In this instance, I guess, Shiro is the chicken. So I guess you could sort of reframe the joke just to make it a bit easier to understand. Why was the chicken crying at the RMR? He was crying because the rooster, I mean, it can't be a he and be a chicken, can it really? So why was the chicken crying at the RMR? She was crying because the rooster was really bad at leading the team chicken gaming, right? That's the joke. You see, that's what he's done there. But obviously he's used real people instead of chickens and roosters. Yeah, not my best work, but I'm trying to make you understand these difficult concepts. Now, anybody who reads that and doesn't understand that, no, Mauisnake is not saying Shiro was crying because Nafani's a bad IGL. Anyone who looks at that and thinks that's serious is, again, you shouldn't be allowed to vote. You shouldn't be allowed to have a driving license. There's got to be standards that we set. You have to pass some sort of test at this point. It makes you an absolute moron. Like, I cannot express it enough. There is no other way to interpret that. But because it's esports and because it's in particular the CS community, people actually thought Mauisnake was coming forward with inside info that Shiro was crying because Nafani was a bad IGL at the RMR, and not just crying because he was disappointed at going out the tournament despite having played so well. Now, probably part of the issue was that Nafani himself clearly didn't see it as a joke, which, bit worrying. That's one of the best IGLs, theoretically, in World Counter-Strike, thought this was some sort of genuine opinion and worth replying to. But he did. He replied with pretty much I don't even know what you would have to put into Google Translate to get to this. Man, shout your mouth while you don't know a piece of info. Thanks. If your thinks being an analyst give you any possibility talk shit about anyone or any team better, rethink about you as a person. It's cool to speak shit, but better to speak facts, not lie. This clearly tells me Nafani thought he was making a serious statement, which I'd expect it from the plebs on Reddit. The fact that a player can't even wrap their head around the concept of a joke. A top player on a top team. Staggering. But welcome to esports. Mauisnake then replied with, I'm sick of watching this jiggle peak for info default every single round style that cost the prime year of Exile's career already. No telling if Shiro will reach the same heights again either. One of the highest peaks I've ever seen in a rifler, and what is there to show? And this is the valid criticism of Nafani's time with this team. That back in the online era, when they were the number one team in the world and they were regularly beating Na'Vi, we all thought they were going to be gangbusters, didn't we? We all thought they were going to be absolutely amazing, unbeatable, the new height. Everyone was studying their demos. What have they actually got to show for it? Well, not a lot. And that is a valid criticism. And much like, remember how it's like, well, we can't blame Hooksy's all to blame for the wins, but Cadian, never blame him for the losses. Normal people with working brains, capable of logic, would say at this point, you know, like Carrigan's winning tournaments with a kind of a, you know, mixed team where they haven't had a lot of time to practice and inexperienced players, you know, and veterans. We got, you know, Na'Vi have had their problems. They were still winning tournaments, you know, G2 winning tournaments with Hooksy somehow, Vitality winning a major, you know, with Apex playing bad, and Dupree, who had been not only poor up until that major and was on the chopping block, but also just had a kid, you know. So you've had two out of the top 5 players in the world on your team as an IGL, and also Hobbit, who was in the top 20, and you've won fuck all. Like, I don't know. I think at some point you gotta catch some flack for that. So anyway, next up, obviously Simple. I guess he didn't get the memo. You're not supposed to be defending Russians online right now if you're Ukrainian, so he'll probably get some negative feedback from his fans for this, but there it is. I'm tired of your boring game analysis. Please get more knowledge in your work. Sometimes it's actually terrible to hear you on desk. When do you listen to the people on the desk, Simple? When? I'm going to let you into a secret. Players don't even watch the fucking broadcasts, bro. They don't even watch the games when they're not playing. They don't give a fuck. Sometimes it's actually terrible to hear you on desk. Try to understand game better. You have so many smart people around. And then he actually unfollowed best FPS player, I guess implying that Mauisnake had unfollowed him on Twitter. And Maui said, I've never followed you, right? Which, by the way, he missed a trick there, because what I would have replied with was a screenshot of me following Ziwu. That's what I would have done. But that's me. I would have owned Simple, because my fucking Twitter game is sick. But I just don't do it anymore because it upsets everyone. But you'll never beat me in a Twitter gotcha dunk contest ever. Never happening. What an embarrassing fucking interaction from two players that I have respect for, but wow, like just and what embarrassing scenes. But of course, Reddit absolutely fucking loved it. They loved it. We got 2 threads all about Mauisnake, all about Maui. Mauisnake takes shot at C9's IGLing and Nafani fires back. Says that the joke isn't funny. Congrats on at least recognising it's a joke. There you go. It's not his game analysis that's a problem. It's more the way he delivers it. He really has a tendency to talk down on people like he is an all-knowing veteran. He is a pretentious asshole. His takes are shit. A true representation of American sports analysts. Serious analyst becomes brain poisoned, becoming a takes man, unable to turn off that part of their psyche. I've seen it all too many times in every sport. Really? Have you? I don't mind him calling out Nafani for his awful IGLing, but blaming him for Shiro crying is not the way to do it. Again, it's a joke. Maui is cringe and doesn't deserve to be at Tier 1 events. Hope he disappears for CS2. Got to Thanos him out of existence because he tweeted something you don't like. Guy who was constantly promoted by Thorin and regularly does content with him is an asshole. Surprised emoji. I can't wait until Maui is removed from all gigs. He's not fit for Tier 1 events. We don't need another Thorin. Can we stop having Maui on the deck? Now remember, guys, right? This is a community that has no issue with Saudi Arabians taking over the entire fucking space. You won't boycott their fucking tournaments, will you? We just had an incident over in Overwatch where a Saudi Arabian player who was participating in a tournament called a transcaster a pig while laughing about it, and nothing has happened because everyone's too fucking scared of creating an international incident. That's the type of shit the average fucking esports fan will tolerate. You won't get up in arms to boycott shit like that, will you? And you watch the Saudi Arabian tournaments, you watch the blood money rain from the sky onto your favourite tournament, you'll tune in. You'll have sponsors like 1xBet. You'll type on Reddit, yeah, gambling bad. ESL, WePlay, all worked with 1xBet, right? They're being sued for the things you claim to hate. Also, Russian businessmen. Hello? Didn't we say some things last year, round about February? Right? Didn't we all say some things, February, March time, about what we were going to be doing with Russian business? All right, okay, we're not doing that now. Oh, Cloud9 needs some more players, do they? Oh, all right, yeah, sorry. My bad. Totally. Those taxes aren't going to Putin's war machine anymore, guys. Don't worry about it. So, a betting company founded by criminals who are on the run, Russian criminals who are on the run, who have been sued for all sorts of shit, fined for all sorts of shit. They're sponsoring an esports event. You say you hate all gambling, but you still tune in, you won't boycott. How interesting. How very interesting. We've got players who have said racist things, homophobic things, see nothing but forgiveness for them. They were just a lad. They were just kids. They are growing up. Everyone should be allowed to make mistakes. But the thing you will consistently demand people are fucking suspended for or banned from their jobs for are saying opinions you don't like. You are fucking scum. You are a collection of scumbags. Know that. You are a collection of scumbags. You will stand with war criminals, profiteers and thieves, and worse, right? You'll stand with that, but when it comes to like, oh, an opinion about a player, ban him, take away his job, take away his livelihood. Anyone who types that is a fucking piece of garbage. You are shit in my eyes, and the eyes of anyone who has eyes. It's a fucking joke. This is the community in a nutshell. These are the things you must be punished for. Saying that, telling a joke about a player. Where did Mauisnake come from? Never heard of him until his "you're not the main character" rant about Cadian at the major. Your opinion matters then. You're tuned into the scene. Someone uninstall this guy. I only hear negative stuff from this man. That's because you only ever post negative stuff. In fact, you downvoted a video on the subreddit where he said, I like what EG have done giving these young players a chance. Downvote. We don't want to see that. We don't want to see that. Mauisnake better take a step back. You are making a lot of people angry with your comments without having a fan base behind you. What happens if he doesn't stop? What happens? You tell me, Hadzu. What happens if he doesn't stop? Why does he need to take a step back? What does it matter if he makes a lot of people angry? What happens? What are you going to do? What are you going to do? Going to attack him? Going to threaten him? Going to get a group together? Send the boys round? Break his legs? What are you even talking about, you fucking header? Like, I can't believe... Like, put it this way. If you ever want to know why so many members of broadcast talent get, like, death threats and stuff, that right there is the tell. That's the tell. This is someone who's got, like, 10 alts, and he's all day just sending, like, kill yourself, and I'm going to get you, and all this stuff. It's like, so what if my opinion makes you angry? That's a you problem. That's you. I still find it hard to forgive him for saying Frozen was best player on mouse when Rops was there. Forgive him. Funny how he replied back to Nafani, but shuts up hella quick when Simple says he's an idiot. God, I fucking hate Maui. Literally replied to Simple and said, I don't follow you on Twitter. So, great stuff. And then doubles down on his provable delusion. Should have said bites back with Naf, but acts like a pussy with Simple. No, you didn't do that either. Literally made Simple look like a fucking fool. Walmart Thorin, just so awful. Maui got shat on. I'm glad Simple bodied him. Fuck Maui. He is by and far the worst personality in CS. Of course, just a few months ago, we were all calling Simple toxic, saying he was bullying SDY, all this other stuff. But Simple's the good guy now. Maui is a cocky kid who was never beaten up. To get humble, again, he needs to be beaten up. He needs to be beaten up. This is Kajilla Pandora. This is where we're at now. It's the same thing with every journey that any talent that expresses any... You wonder why everyone's like pimp on a fucking desk in most esports with the most vanilla takes imaginable. It is because this is the road you go on. It starts with, what do people think about him? Well, I think he's an arsehole. I think he's an edgelord. Then it becomes, he should never be on desks again. And then you arrive at the point of violence and threats. And by the way, if people are publicly posting he should be beaten up, he should be attacked, he should, better watch your step, man, for saying these opinions, I can guarantee you he will have dozens and dozens of messages from people saying they're going to hurt him if they get an opportunity to. Do you know how I know that? Because that is what has happened to every other member of the talent pool whenever they get in a controversy, and I know because it has happened to me to a point where I needed fucking bodyguards in, between 2016 and 2018. One of the worst accents ever, the Karen voice accent. I'll say it again after being downvoted. I hate Mauisnake. The CSGO analyst desk is the worst in esports, both in entertainment and analysis. I can't believe I tried to defend this pretentious asshole. Wasn't enough to just have the one thread. Had to have two threads. Mauisnake gets hate from Simple after joking about Nafani. Maui is to Thorin what the Titan is to the Titanic. What does that even mean? Well, like, Maui is going down to visit Thorin under the sea and he explodes. What the fuck does that even mean? Loads of awards for that upvoted. Best roast I've seen on this sub. Literally, again, I know this is why I had to explain the chicken crossing the road thing. Reddit tries to construct a joke. This one takes the gold. It's about the thing I saw on telly. It's about the thing I saw on Instagram. I saw a TikTok about that today. Idiots. Just fucking idiot. It's clear Maui isn't joking. It's clear he is joking. This ain't joking. It's straight up flaming. Jokes can roast people. Didn't we just establish that with the hilarious? Thorin is the Titanic and Maui is a submersible vehicle visiting Thorin. Okay. Deserved. There's criticism. There's jokes. And then there's just being a prick. A lot of the time, it seems like Maui doesn't want to stay on the right side of that line. So I hope he can take what he gives out Exclamation point. It's not joking at all. Mauisnake should be made irrelevant. We're going to make him irrelevant. Hit him with the irrelevancy beam. You can stop talking about him then, dickhead. Simple as that. You know how you make people irrelevant? You ignore them. Can you do it? No. Why? Your life is shit. Your life is garbage. This is how you choose to fill it. Mauisnake should be made irrelevant. Dreadful caster and analyst. And an absolute clown on social media. So much this. Yas Queen. Who hired this guy? He must have been around a while. Hi everybody. Me, DB Pickle here. I don't know this is the classic Reddit habit. I don't know anything about what I'm about to say, but I'm going to take a series of guesses, and if I'm correct, I'm going to do this. Fucking clown. He must have been around a while. He's relatively new, as we all know. I think any newer spectators like myself should dislike Maui. Maybe I just pay attention at the wrong times, but he seems negative to the overall experience. As esports grows, some of these talents will need to be careful, as there will be more competition for their job. That's like Babby's first esports assessment. Like he knows fuck all about the space or how it works. Even the best casters today can still be improved upon a lot. The entire scene has a ton more headroom to grow. Yeah, we're actually shrinking now, by the way, mate. You missed it. You missed it, dickhead. Your opinion, worthless. You missed it. You weren't here. We were. Let me just come in and tell you about this Mauisnake's career and how I think the industry works. No, shut the fuck up. Your opinion's worthless. Maui has fuck all understanding of the game. Now, remember, we've established relatively high-level player in NA, like to an ESEA standard. Used to do analysis videos that the few people that engaged with them really, really liked. Nobody said he knew fuck all about the game. When he first came in and was doing Weatherman-style segments, everybody loved them, loved his analysis, said he was great. Maui has fuck all understanding of the game. No analyst knows the game. Only Redditors know the game. Only talk shit, rarely ever constructive, always contrarian, only concerned with rage baiting to boost his own relevance and not actually providing useful analysis. Whenever he opens his mouth, it's like he doesn't think, how can I add value to this discussion, but how can I stir some shit? Again, it isn't a joke. Maui never stops talking. It is his Twitter feed. Maui is the worst analyst I've seen, and I've seen Michael Owen on BT. I hope Maui shuts the fuck up. He's the most useless caster, desk speaker, and I could care less about his game analysis. Maui is a terrible analyst. Maui is just Thorin from Wish. Maui is annoying, I agree. But he's right. Okay, good. That's not joking. That's Maui being an awful person. Budget machine? Don't even know. You've just heard a name there, haven't you? Maui is a garbage analyst. He'll make a claim, and then when he is proving wrong, he turns on a dime and goes, see, that's what I've been saying all along. Let me guess. Scowl Eric again. Do show me an example. Scowl Eric. Do show me an example of him doing this. Go on. Show me one. Doesn't exist, of course. So, 2 hate threads. All of that for the very, very mild opinion that he gave. And then, of course, the news came out. Overdrive, who gets loads of things wrong, but is revered by the sub. Everybody worships him over there and says that, like, everything he says is gospel, even though once it gets outside of Russia, he's got a pretty big drop-off in accuracy. He did the announcement that, well, actually, Cloud9 are going to be cutting Nafani and Buster and bringing in Perfecto and Electronic from Na'Vi, right? So still an all Russian lineup. Now, do just want to say, this is how you know Maui's not a hater. Because after Nafani had tweeted that at me, and then he lost his job. And by the way, spoiler, I suspect the reason he clapped back was because he knew he'd lost his job, and probably in some fucked up way blames Maui for some of it. But I would have been, what about today, dickhead? How's your fucking employment today, dickhead? How's Exile's future looking today, dickhead? Oh, delicious. Fucking chef's kiss. I don't know how Maui hasn't actually been fucking, like, I just upload a fucking video of me jerking off. Just post that on Twitter. There you go. Fucking have it, lads. Like, it's actually insane that the biggest critic of Nafani has got to see Nafani get cut from a fucking roster, right? Just as Nafani's finally snapped. Because I'll say this, if you do a Twitter search and basically go through Maui's timeline and it was fucking... you type Nafani in. He's tweeted loads, he has tweeted loads about Nafani. It's like when those obsessed plebs do it to me, and it's just like you type in Lewis, and you just get the Dead Sea Scrolls. No, it's not even the accurate thing. It's more like a Torah. Just massive scroll of just Richard Lewis hate. The whole thing, with Nafoni, which is one of the funniest nicknames ever created. Not that I think all player nicknames are good, because most of them are shite, but Nafoni is legit. So anyway, Nafani's out. You go down, you're like, what are people going to talk about in this thread? And look, here it is. Electronic IGL, sad. Mauisnake wins the Twitter war, sad. This is honestly the biggest thing for me. If Nafani needs to go, he needs to go. But please, God, don't let Maui think he's right about something. Well, Cloud9 certainly fucking agree. And then look, it's crazy because he seemed like the most humble and level-headed analysis when he first entered the scene. So much so, people thought he was boring to listen to. Yeah, do you see the problem, guys? People are nice, you call them boring. People are spice. You call them pricks. There's no way to please you. There's no way to please you. You're just idiots. You're just idiots. Your opinion is just worthless. You're just an idiot. I feel like the anti-Maui circle jerk has somehow convinced everyone Nafani was a good IGL. Maui might have been a jerk, but Nafani definitely had to go. So yeah, Mauisnake sends his regards. Fucking what a saga. So, 48 hours, right? 48 hours of attacking an analyst for saying an IGL hadn't done a very good job. That then segues into the IGL being cut. And then the response is, I certainly hope the analyst that made the same observations the team did doesn't think he was right. Reddit. This is your brain on Reddit. But yeah, just stay off Reddit. It's just not good for you, not healthy.